Hey guys, this is Ali at WaveSage. Let's do a market update. Like always, none of this is financial advice. Always do what's best for you. Just use this for your education and entertainment purposes only. The market was really indecisive in some ways today. Very boring market. Not much going on. I believe, it's always just searching out what's the next news event. It looks like tomorrow there's another meeting on the debt ceiling. That's some big news event. If there's optimism coming out of that, uh, I wouldn't be surprised to see it continue to go higher. If there's any pessimism, then of course we'll sell off. And, the market to me is just thinking a default is just unthinkable and it's almost not likely. It's not pricing that scenario in, well, especially with interest rates dropping. So the market is completely complacent to this risk, and maybe the unthinkable, does happen, and they sort it out while it's in default status, while the breach has happened, and they use that to bring everyone to the table. Because the problem, what's happening is the markets, by being so passive and so not as volatile right now. There's no pressure being put on the politicians to make a deal. So why would they? The markets are just kind of just oblivious or to the risk. Um, and so until we get market pressure put on politicians, I don't think a deal happens. And I don't think the market would even start, it seems like, to sell off until we actually have that technical breach. Then the selling will start, the pressure will build, and then a deal will happen, but probably at much lower prices. That's what I think is going to happen. It seems likely, it seems like it's playing out. And like I said, there could be a little bit of optimism to pop the markets and finish this move higher here to 420, and then you actually have the breach, and then all hell breaks loose. It doesn't have to happen that way though. So right now the market's very indecisive on where on is searching for the next move, and it could easily go either way. But if it does go higher, it just represents opportunities, potentially too short. But I do think selling here is risky because any kind of optimism, I do believe you get a squeeze. And then I do think, though, uh, there's more at risk than we realize, and the probability of default is higher because, like I was thinking, it could be considered a win-win for the politicians, win for the Democrats because they get inflation. Obviously we sell off, commodities will dump, oil will dump. We'll get this moved down to the 50-40 area in oil, and then they can refill the petroleum reserve. Get a deal done down here and say, okay, we got a deal done. And look, inflation, we destroyed inflation. So they win with a default and they get this massive sell off. The Fed gets a get out of jail free card because now they can blame the government. So the Fed, could also use this and spin it. And then, of course, the Republicans get a win because they can say, look, we were strong. We didn't give in. We're now fiscal conservatives again and stick it to Biden. And they get a win. So everybody wins in a default. Who loses? The Treasury Secretary, Yellen, and the American people, 401ks. Because the problem is you are playing with fire. And that's what Yellen is telling them is like this game, if you do want to do this default and in the win-win-win scenario, well, Yellen's like, hey guys, this shit can get out of hand. We're in uncharted territory. What if, they have to pay the bondholders last, and then you actually trigger CDSs and things, and then a little dip turns into something down here, which then turns into something unimaginable. And that's the dangerous game you play by breaking the parabola, right? And I showed a long-term chart on my Twitter feed. This parabola looks likely to break on the Dow Jones soon, right? It looks very likely that this parabola is about to break. And maybe I could draw it a little different, a little different. But for the most part, it's probably going to break. And if you've traded any kind of parabolic pump, when the parabola breaks, it always goes back down to somewhere around here where my cursor is. That's what happens. Never fails. Look at Japan when their bubble popped. Look at anything big, not Bitcoin, but yeah, Bitcoin during its individual cycles. The same kind of chart, right? On the smaller cycles. I mean, every time you get a pump, you get a drop. So the market is playing with fire. There is no margin for error. But this whatever some people say it's a Ponzi giant. Maybe you call it a debt Ponzi, debt built on printing, built on printing. But I mean, just like any pyramid scheme, when the money runs out, the shit can unravel pretty fast, and that's what I think could happen, and that's the accident that could transpire. And I don't know if the market is understanding that risk, and neither are the politicians, because June 1st they said is a possible date. My guess is they miscalculate. It is probably sooner based on the trends I'm seeing. So if I just look at the calendar, you really only have, a couple trade-in weeks left, and maybe less, a week and a half of trading. So if there's no deal, like in the next few days, guys, there ain't gonna be a deal. There ain't gonna be a deal. And if there's no deal, this shit's gonna go down. It's going down. And the problem is you don't know the collateral damage it will cause, the snowball effect, the other dominoes that get knocked over. You think it's under control, like, okay, we'll just have this kind of quick panic default. Oil will drop to 50, and then we'll make a quick deal, and it's all good. And the Fed say we won inflation, we did this. Yeah, it was a kind of a crazy month, but we got through it, and everyone gives each other high fives, and it's great. And then we have a new bull market. But the problem is, I do believe if we start to unravel this thing, it can get out of control really fast, and then no one knows if you can get it back under control. It may be impossible. So I think there's a lot more risk than people imagine. Uh, but there's obviously going to be some news that comes out tomorrow, either when the market closes or during the trading session about this meeting. And again, if it's positive, we pump. If it's negative, of course, we start to go down. So that's the idea. But if we do pump, just know if it's positive, we are going to get the tweet. I guarantee some point where it says, guys, we're not making any progress in negotiations. Treasury Secretary, prepare for default. You'll get that, and then that's that. I'm almost waiting for that. I'm almost waiting for Biden or someone important to say, prepare for a default. And once those words come out, then I believe we absolutely should set this X wave at that point. But I mean, until then, it's just day trading, day trader battles, casino, using the market as the casino, like which was today, just kind of a casino day. Just keep buying the dip and getting out. That's all it was. There was really no news event that was going to drive the trend today. So anyway, the Russell, it looks like it wants to break this high. If it can, that would swing up, but it hasn't done it yet. But and then I can make the case there's 5 down here, and I could also make the case that it's already to crash at any moment like that. So it's tough to say where it's going to go, and that's how most of this market is. It's tough to try to forecast where we're heading. Again, this could be the top. I think deep in my bones, I think this is the top right here, but I could be wrong, and you just never know. We'll know soon. And then the SPY definitely in an indecisive area, coin flip where it's going, and then the Dow Jones really weak. I mean, keep an eye on that low. If this low breaks, it's going to open up another, 600 points down, maybe more. You're going to get down to the 32, 200 area, 300 area. So just keep that in mind. And that would be a massive reversal. If we got down here, look, we would have, that whole pump would have almost come back home, come full circle. Remember how enthusiastic the market was on the way up in the Dow here? And now it's fading. It's fading, and it looks like it wants to break this low. Keep an eye on the Hang Seng, but nothing there. Bitcoin, again, it either found the bottom or it's making a new connector. So it may be a tradable pivot. Let's take a look. Not quite a pivot yet or a connector. You see, we're still not a connector yet, so we could still be in this two wave. So it could dip back down here and then bounce out again. But it's you gotta be very careful if you're in it. And this low is important low to hold. Let's look at the daily RSI. Yeah, it has not ended, so it's still in it's still in the downward cycle. It hasn't no connector yet. This is a crash pattern in bonds. It lines up with stocks, right? A 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 is bonds about to go massively lower in rates. That's a deflationary crash. What people panic into long-term bonds, maybe, and then short-term treasuries. I mean, you could see a flood of money out of the market into these in a panic. It's possible. The other option is it can unravel up. All we need is a break of one of these pivots to negate this, and we're at decision points. So either the 2 years going down and a massive drop, which when anytime that happens, banks fail, or it's going to go up, break this pivot, unravel, and then you're going to get another swing higher, and rates could go back up to 5% in the 2 years. So I don't know how the market's going to interpret this news in terms of interest rates, which is why I'm just more of a spectator here. The VIX was green, but it is struggling at this resistance area. The dollar index did get rejected. Again, I was like, what is going to be the catalyst on Monday? Well, sure, we got it. Debt ceilings are going okay. They're meeting on Tuesday, and now everyone's euphoric, so the dollar's dumping. There's going to be a deal. If there's a deal, of course, the dollar is going to get hosed on any deal, any positive news. Dump the dollar, right? You're going more into debt, more inflation. But of course, once the deals break down, this will take another swing higher, and it looks like the cycle should be ending this three-wave move on this three-wave move. So it's actually kind of an important dip. It did break this low here, so it does look like the market may be leaning to going higher early in the session, until the dollar may find a new swing higher here. We'll keep an eye on that. So the market may be supported here and then crash. Tough to say. This could be 5 down, 2 back up in 2. So it's tough, but it seems like now the dollar is all of a sudden no one wants the dollar again, because again the euphoria around maybe there's a deal to be had. Gold. I think it's in an area that it's very tricky. You have 3 down. It could be a massive 1 2 1 2 and get 3 of 3 and get to like 2100, or we swing down the 1966 in silver. Looks like it's 1 2 3 4, and we'll make that impulse down, and then we should counter trend up. But this would not be a good buy. The other option is this is some kind of flat scenario. It's possible. Let's see here. Too much divergence here at the top. But actually there's no divergence there. Let's see the 4-hour. It erased Yeah, so it actually could become a flat. So I think if you're in the silver trade, you got to be careful because it could still be extended in C. and this could just be a 1-2 and get to 30. Um, so it's tough. Buying the dip in silver would be very risky, high risk, high reward trade. Buying silver, perhaps if you really want to do it, you would look at 23.5, 23.39 for this fifth wave, and you want to see some divergence, bullish divergence, and you more likely will get that. So maybe silver is telling you there's at least a counter trend rally or rally to 30 here, and this could be an opportunity, but it isn't without significant risk. But it's possible. So I may be looking at that trade. Let's take a look at the SIL and see if the miners give you a clue as to what silver may be doing. So here's another way to look at it. Here's your three-wave move in the miners. Clearly this isn't a flat. This is 5 up. So I wouldn't buy silver until the miners hit 26.92. So that's my time in vehicle to buy the silver trade. On the long side, it would be speculative, but I would be looking for that. And when that happens, then I would be looking for longs in the silver market as long as 25.49 holds. So I would be looking when the SIL hits this area, then it's time for me to do some buy-in the dip in the gold and silver complex. The GDX is not as clear. The GDX is a some kind of flat too. So I would really look at this as your opportunity to kind of time when it's time to get in the silver trade somewhere in this area. And that's it. So the market, that's my update. But before we end, I'd like to just always scan the market and see if there's anything interesting. How's the XLE doing? It did break this low here, so that looks like it's 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would say that negates the bullish scenario. There could be a counter trend rally coming, which is expected. So I would be looking for that. So here you have 3 waves, a W and an X, right? So let's take a look at what we have here. A W, an X, and a Y. And it looks like you have 5 up. So it looks like maybe energy should be getting some kind of bounce potentially again. And then the final low, the final move down, the capitulation low. Something like that is what I'm thinking for the energy markets. And then the other sectors, some news around financials. I think Warren Buffett bought Capital One. Is that right? It's interesting if he did. He'll be real sad because it's going probably to $50. We could get it cheaper, but maybe he knows something we don't. If I read his article right, I thought it said Capital One. Schwab's in this descending triangle. Today would have been the day to short that, by the way, if you believe in this triangle playing out, which I do. You can see that. And then we broke the high on this one on Western Alliance. So you have a 3 swing moves, and with that high broke, now the move. So here you have a low, and then you have 3 swings up, 3 swings down, and now you have this sequence needs to higher. So more than likely what I'm thinking is if this is 5 down, we're going to retest this high at 41, right? Or possibly break it. So what if we break it? What's the ultimate short opportunity in this stock? It would be if it got to 46.60, 54.91. Now that would be one hell of a pump, right? From where it is now. But that's what what the charts are showing. So if the chart is going to do something like this, then the Russell's obviously going higher. The markets are going higher. Now the other alternative here is This is already done in 3, and it's just a really short C leg unconventional. So that means the high at 31.88 has to hold. So really interesting. Just kind of looking at these setups that we have here. 3 down, 5 up. Right? This looks like 5 up, right? Let's see divergence. No divergence. Let's look at the 4-hour, the 15-minute. Yeah, so there's no divergence. So even though it looks like 5 waves, it isn't. It's 3 waves up. So it's 3. That looks like 3. And we'll see where this goes. So this, you can't really read much into that one. Healthcare. IBRX is pumping again. It's covering. Yeah, that had a massive dump. And then it looks like it's just retracing. Nothing there. And then let's see, technology, AI. Told you guys about to buy the dip here. And it looks good if this is an actual low. Let's see how the 3, yeah, I mean, looks good. I mean, it appears to be a low. If not, we're making a new connector. So we'll need to wait. If we break that 1691, then this connector would retrace this move, and that would, the new target would be somewhere around $12 probably. So we'll see. This still needs to impulse out, but again, we could get up here, and again, it makes no sense, right? So it looks like more than likely, if anything, it impulses up, tops out, and then it pulls all the way back to retest this low again. We'll see. Or if this is just a connector, it's going to make a new low. But it's interesting to see that pump today, short squeeze. I mentioned Tesla, look for this pattern, right? If that's a flat, then this has more downside coming. If it's not a flat, it could be finished soon. Tough to say. AMD, this was a dip buy area. Mentioned that. It looks like it's coming out of this dip here. If it'll be interesting to see if it can break this high. Google in the short area. Yeah, just today is just a lot of speculation in the market today. Just a lot of trading for here. Looks like it probably is done. And so anyway, I looked through the market. There's a lot of nice action on the upside, and that's going to continue until people get scared enough. Let's see how First Solar's doing. Could be pulling back in B. We'll see. PDD looking good. Looks like an impulse off the bottom. So it looks like that may be a trade. So it looks like this low should hold here with this impulse off the bottom. So if it pulls back, you could probably try to buy it against that. Now it's a lower. It's not as risky potentially as it was. Baidu pumped nicely out of whatever this mess is. This could still be 3 waves. Yeah, be careful in that one still. But yeah, so let's take a look here. Some really big declines and some big pumps. Caravana. Yeah, I think someone asked me about this, and I said, you could buy that against this low. This was my area, and went a little deeper, and sure enough, looks like Y is in. Now, if you can make another high, then this is a major low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is as amazing as that sounds, right? Can you believe that we could have that Caravana may have figured things out, but until they break this high again with divergence, not out of the woods yet. AEHR, I had the buy area. It hasn't looked back since. Let's go to the staples. Let's see how some of the other ones we're doing. This one's doing okay. It's doing some 4s and 5s. So should be topping out and pulling back soon for a retrace. So crypto. Well, see, if you look at where GBTC is, I really wanted to see it hit 13. Didn't quite do that. It needs 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe one more push lower. So I say crypto is a speculative buy on the next dip if we can get it. Now see, Mara broke this low here, so that sets up downside to $6. So this is telling me the crypto complex isn't ready to rise with that lower low. So that's a tell here. Mara, this is an obvious connector. So this looks like it needs to tag this $6. So that means crypto probably has more downside coming. Now MSTR did pretty much hit the area and bounced. Here it could trade outside of the correlation or could go deeper down in here. Riot hasn't broken the low, but probably will. So it seems like crypto may have more downside coming, and I would just be conscious that this could still pull back, still be in the same cycle, and then this could be another viable area, a better area, lower risk area. All right, that's it, guys. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Talk to you later.